I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Like, you know, all
Hello,
that stuff
everyone. Sorry, I should have told Trups just then, but I just realised the time. Sorry, Trups. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisty Live channel. I apologise again, Trups. Joining me to talk about some, well, quite a bit of stuff. We're starting early because of this. Is Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Hello.
That was marvellous. How is Trups?
You know, I'm excited because of all the crap that we have to talk about. I mean,
so
it's
much.
Oh my god, it is a lot, and like honestly, unfortunately, when big news happens, it makes me forget about all the other shit that happened around it.
So that's quite an important point because there are, I'd say, 4, maybe 5 things really talked about. However, there are other side characters that are going to feature regardless. Say, for example, Labour win the election. Okay, well, they're already sort of they've worked out a truce on Israel in the party. Okay, but they're also now meeting Zelensky, and they're not willing to commit certain things anymore. But they want to support them. Also, the EU want to renegotiate a deal with us because they think that we'll want to be closer. And Keir Starmer doesn't want to be. It's so many different things within one general thing of a changing of the guard. France is the same.
Can't forget. Yeah, I was gonna say, can't forget that France colluded to steal the election away from the right-wing
France
party.
colluded to screw itself for another 4 to 5 years.
Yep.
How guilty? We'll get to them later. I've got them on the list. Don't worry. Anyway, how is Trups?
I'm doing okay. Nothing too special. I had a whole bunch of horrible things going on for my house, and my wallet is upset. But otherwise,
I understand that.
yeah, I made the post. I think it was like last Thursday or the Thursday before.
Yeah,
whatever.
I had to buy a new solar charge controller on the credit card. I didn't want to buy it on the credit card at all, but I had no choice. I get paid next week, so I'll pay it off. But I had to buy a new one. I've got an app for it, though, on my phone this time, so I can keep an eye on it. But I'm not getting as much power from the panels as I should be. Obviously, I went to Norwich. I'd saved up all this money in cash. There's no bank anywhere near me, so I couldn't even consider like putting it into a bank because there's no bank near me. I'd have to get a train that would take me an hour to go in a direction to get to a bank because the one that was here pulled out not so long ago. And so I went to Norwich and spent it on some poor decisions, as many know. Yes.
Good. We like that.
I do too. The chocolate vanished overnight. The boat trip was great. Food was amazing. I made a mistake. I've got the receipt above me here. The place is called Zach's. I ordered a cheese and bacon burger with just the cheese, the bacon, and you can also have an option of adding a patty and an egg. And I was like, yes. Curly fries, mushrooms. Okay, ate the fries and the mushrooms first. I probably shouldn't have, because when I started the burger, I realised, oh shit, this is going to be a big one. And I was one bite away from finishing, but then I realised if I ate it, I was probably going to throw up, so I had to stop. I was very upset because I've never been beaten by a burger before.
It's not just the burger that beats you. It's always the other stuff around it.
Honestly, I should have left them to last. Nobody would be pointing and going, "You lost." You know, if I'd left a few, a handful of curly fries. No. But it's the burger.
Right.
But it was delicious, and I had a great time.
You know, people will also respect the fact that if you leave a burger but everything else is gone, I feel like most people go, well, I get it.
Yeah, my friend David ordered a rack of ribs, right? Corn on the cob, curly fries, and he accidentally left coleslaw and he didn't want it, but he left. He only ate about 3/4 of the ribs and the corn on the cob, and I'm like, bitch, that's defeated. that's
Mm-hmm.
that's you losing. Like, nah.
Yep.
Yeah, no. But I had a great time. It was nice to go to Norwich. I'm going back in 3 weeks' time. Not on a Friday, I'm going on a Saturday. My friend David's birthday's early August. He wants to go to a whiskey distillery. Nearest option will be the one we went to many years ago, actually. But we won't be able to go until mid-August. So I'll be going on a Saturday, coming back on the Sunday. So it's a flyby visit. And so I'm gonna.
Very cool.
I'll go back up there then. So what has Trups been up to?
I mean, I've just been working. Like,
Yeah.
nothing.
Well, you had
overly crazy.
you did disappear for the first of the 2 weeks we've not been.
Yeah, I had gone like on vacation.
Oh, how was that?
And well, okay, so I went to I went to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which I am now calling Hillbilly Vegas. It is certainly something. I don't know exactly how else I could possibly describe it.
Get any pictures?
The wife has them.
I'll badger on Facebook.
Yeah. But no, it's but I went to a water park while I was there, and I got severely burned.
From the
I
sun?
chose to I chose to fight the sun, thinking I'm Hispanic, I don't burn.
Fam.
I was wrong.
There are less.
Well,
I remember watching Scrubs, and Donald Faison, African American, his character, wondered if black people, as he put it, could burn. But they do.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Yeah, they do. But it's funny because the parts of me that are normally out in the sun, they didn't burn at all.
Oh, right. It's like people who always wear T-shirts. They take the shirt off, and it's the part that burns because the skin's not adapted. That's all it is.
Right. It looked like I had a vest of burn.
Yeah, my dad, he doesn't burn at all because he doesn't really give a shit, you know. But my sisters, they do because I wear hoodies all the time, but I don't burn at all, which is really I just don't burn.
I can fix that. Let's get you out of it's 28 degrees Celsius. It's so hot.
I'm not complaining it's hot. I'm just saying the temperature increase from 17 to 28 is quite a spike over 2 days.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying that I could get you somewhere.
You
where
can
you'll
mock me as much as you like. It doesn't mean shit to me because I was still wearing a hoodie. I don't give a crap.
Ah, yes. Well, let us not dawdle any further,
okay.
and let's get on to something.
All right, so I'm going to go here. We're going to go here. I've changed the scene. For those watching on YouTube, you'll see this. On the screen, you see the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Now, he is many things. He was pro-Brexit. He's the MP for Holborn in London. He went to Reigate Grammar School, the grammar school, yes, then Omegon, yes. And he is now the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, having resoundingly annihilated the Conservative Party. Now, we knew the Conservatives were going to lose. We didn't know by how much, but we also knew there was a threat, a very important threat, a threat that got at the ballot 14% of the voter share. Now, if that 14% had gone to the second place party, it wouldn't have meant anything. Okay, they would have maybe had 38% of the vote share to Labour's 34%, but it wouldn't have represented many seats because a lot of the seats that Reform UK, the third place party, got, who are Thatcher right-leaning, as they themselves have dubbed it, they came second place in many constituencies. But that's all right. That's fine. We'll get to some of that soon. But this is Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister for the next 5 years. He is in a really difficult position right now because he's got some goals. His first goal, and I'll talk about his party and cabinet in a moment, he wants to build over 5 years 1.25 million homes. To do that, he has to erode what we call the Green Belt. Brownfield sites are an option. Brownfield are former industrial estates, so anything that used to once be used for industrial purposes, torn down and replaced with housing. Okay, fine. I firmly believe less houses, more flats. I think that's a better option. Or if you're going to build houses, build smaller houses. Because we don't have as much space yet. I've seen a lot of new building estates build bigger houses, which to me is beyond dumb because we don't have the space. If you want to maximise the space, you build smaller houses. We've done it before. Just build with better foundations, because that's something we did in the past. We used to build rows of houses that were 20, 30 houses long, yeah? tiny yards at the back, no front garden at all, right? These houses were small, but the foundations were faulty. Build them with better foundations and you resolve the problem. We don't need gardens as much these days because, to be honest with you, too many people are introverted and don't really give a crap about maintaining a garden. Now, he wants to do that. I have no idea how he's going to achieve it. He also has kind of united his party briefly on the subject of Israel. Okay, well that's great news for the time being. Fine. He is currently, for those who don't know, having meetings with Zelensky of Ukraine. He wants us to commit certain missiles and other things. Keir Starmer is not so interested. He does not want to commit any of that. He had to have a Cobra meeting today with paper instead because our computers were faulty, apparently. Cobra is some kind of tactical bull-crap meeting thing. Don't really care. But Zelensky wants more from us, and he wants assurances from us. And Keir he's going to commit to something, but he's not committing to as much. He's also, and this is quite amusing, recently a bunch of Just Stop Oil protesters got lengthy prison sentences for the M25 debacle. Keir Starmer has refused to help them. There's been a MP, Lord Faulkner, who has called for a repeal of the protest laws enacted by the Conservatives. Keir Starmer has not agreed to this, which I'm not surprised by because those protest laws meant that if the police decided, you could be made to stop, which is a fundamental, it's a control of the people, right? And I disagree with that. I firmly believe that all protests, no matter how inconvenient, must be upheld, must be permitted. And unfortunately, this law that exists now gives governments power to prevent that. Because of that, no government would knowingly want to repeal it. Okay, so don't expect that to be a change anytime soon. Also, Keir Starmer, now as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he has had a number of meetings with, like the European Political Community Summit in Blenheim Palace, which is interesting. He hosted the French president and a few other morons. There is a belief that within the European Union that with Keir Starmer in charge, they're going to push to try and either renegotiate a trade deal with the United Kingdom or push for us to rejoin. Now, I have firmly stated if they did that, Keir Starmer would have to actually betray the voters, because a lot of those that voted for him did not vote for him because they want Labour in government. They voted for him because they do not like the Conservatives. That's very simple, right? If you don't like the Conservatives, easy enough, just vote for Labour. They voted for Brexit. The majority of this country voted Brexit. Simple as that. So, for the sake of it, Keir Starmer can't push to reunification, and he shouldn't anyway, because if he did, it would be a kick in the teeth, and he'd lose his position. Right now, he's got to smooth the voters over. So he has said there is no hope of a rejoining of the European Union, but a renegotiation of trade is on the table. Now, I firmly believe that there's one other trade deal that needs to be agreed upon, but it's only going to happen with something we've got to discuss later. That would be with a certain president of the United States. Now, we're not going to talk about him just yet, but if, say, the current incumbent is removed and replaced by his predecessor, who would become his successor, that trade deal could be agreed upon very quickly if Keir Starmer could pull his thumb out of his arsehole and not be too left-leaning for a moment. Because there are some who just immediately jump on the toxic gossip train and just go, well, you can't be anywhere near this because he is haram, when the guy in question is, at this point, almost untouchable, not Keir Starmer, your predecessor. Now, Keir Starmer's cabinet, rather interestingly, consists of some people we've heard of. Firstly, you have Angela Rayner, the Deputy PM. Now, for Labour, she is the first in one of the top two high office positions. Conservatives have had two female prime ministers, both ousted by their own party. Okay, she's also a chav. Just, that's all you need to know. Wait, she was a chav the moment she became a teenage mother. I'm sorry, but I'm allowed to say this because Angela Rayner was part of that generation of teenage mums that made poor decisions. Or teenagers, basically. You have Rachel Reeves as the Chancellor. She's not bad, so I'm not going to complain too much. Yvette Cooper is a gobshite who's the Home Secretary of crap. Ed Miliband, former leader of the Labour Party, Cameron annihilated him, is the Secretary for State for Energy and Net Zero, which is some BS nonsensical office, but all right. You have David Lammy, who is functionally mentally handicapped, as the Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development. Foreign Secretary, basically. Let's see if you've got any ones I know here. No. Hilary Benn, Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. Hilary Benn was the deputy of the party when Jeremy Corbyn was he Chancellor? He might have been Chancellor for Jeremy Corbyn. He got kicked out by Corbyn's party, actually, by Corbyn, because he was too. When it came to the Syria airstrikes, Corbyn is pacifist and said no. Lengthy debate. Hilary Benn sat right next to him, stood up and said, "Yeah, no, we should airstrike them." And he was like, "Bye." We discussed it on here, and we agreed with the airstrikes, I believe, as well. We have Lisa Nandy, who originally ran for leader of the party with Keir and others. And I would have preferred Lisa Nandy to run the party, to be honest, because she's a more moderate position. She's also a fantastic Shadow Chancellor. The rest of the cabinet, the original Shadow Chancellor, was an Annalise Dodds. She was Shadow Chancellor when Keir first started being in charge. She is the Minister for Women and Equalities. So basically, she is the Minister for misandry.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, basically. Now on the Conservative side, they got pummeled. Okay, where is the image I have? Right. So vote share, Labour got 34% of the vote. Now this sounds impressive. Conservatives got 24%. Okay. Voter turnout for this election was lower than what it was when Jeremy Corbyn was in charge. In fact, Jeremy Corbyn got more votes for Labour at the last general election than Keir Starmer did at this election. That's not a joke, by the way. So the voter turnout on this was horrendous. Now, for 34% of the vote share, they got 63% of the seats. They got 412, a majority of 174. So much so they fill up the benches on the side of Parliament Conservatives used to be on, and then spill out the sides. There's not enough space for them. Conservatives got 19% of the seats. Reform UK got 14% of the vote, third largest in the country. They got 4 seats, so 1%. Lib Dems got 12% and of the vote share and got 11% of the seats. The Lib Dems are now third biggest party. The SNP have been vanquished, basically. They're down to 1% of the seats. They've been annihilated. We don't get any more of the paper pervert, although his seat no longer exists. Ian Blackford's seat in Parliament has been abolished, so he doesn't exist anymore.
How lovely.
But yeah, so now it's back to the old days of Labour, Conservatives, Lib Dems, except for the fact that we have this disparity, where Reform UK...
They won't be fondling their notes anymore.
True. Reform UK getting 14% of the vote share means they got 3 million votes. That's what they got. And they're only represented by 4 MPs. That is concerning and does raise questions about proportionate representation. Now, I don't support proportionate representation. We have something like that you see it in like France, and you see it in some sort of arguments with more republic-based nations, or the European Union do it as well, with how they elect their MEPs. It's proportionate representation in each country. So the percentage then determines how many MEPs you get. I don't agree with that at all. I do understand that this is a problem because UKIP got millions of votes in 2015, and it was enough. They didn't get any They didn't get 1 MP. They didn't get 1, or did they get 1? I think they'd 1. It didn't matter. They had no say for the millions they represented. Now, Reform UK are very excited about this because they've got something in Parliament now that many of us have wanted for years. Now, I don't want it because of Reform. I want it because I want to see what he does. They've got Nigel Farage in the Commons, who is arguably the funniest and most outspoken critic. If anyone tries to shout him down, his response every time can be, "I got 3 million votes for my party." Quite frankly, I got more votes in this chamber than the entire Liberal Democrat Party. And he did. By 2%, he got more votes than them. They may have more seats, but he has the voice of more people. And that's something Reform UK have talked about. They've instantly said, okay, at the next election, we're going for Labour seats. We're going to keep all these ones, we're going to build on this, and we're going to take more seats. And they should, because I like this idea of a divide between the Labour, the Conservatives, and the Lib Dems. I want there to be more parties. I want more voices. I want to see some absolute hell. Because I'm sick of this two-party system, I want to see something else. And it is still two parties, Labour, Conservative. Okay. Well, now you've got the Lib Dems back where they were as the third largest party, but they don't represent the largest base. So Reform UK are in a rather unique position. No one can shout them down anymore because of how much of the voter share they got. And there's no way Labour can ignore that, even with their rather large majority, because voter share-wise, they only got 20% more than Reform UK. That's not a huge amount, really, is it? Especially with the voter turnout. And so I'm quite fascinated by it, really, because that's, you know, intriguing. I want to add something, though. There was somebody else who I didn't think would keep their seat. An MP for a region of this country called Islington North. A man called Jeremy Corbyn, who actually retained his seat as an independent, with the slogan, "An independent voice for all of us." His font is all red with green, "An independent voice." I swear, the way he structures his celebratory thing. By the way, he was still majority on that. Islington North love him. It was written quite clearly by a communist. I mean, I expect he also ties, rather interestingly, for the longest serving member of the House of Commons. So if he's here at the next general election and the other guy stands down, Jeremy Corbyn, the career politician who claims to not be one, and he inherits a new title called the Father of the House. Now, Father of the House actually is an official position. They do certain things and have certain responsibilities as the oldest, longest-serving member of the Parliament. It's just funny it would be Jeremy Corbyn, a guy who couldn't be Prime Minister, but at least he'd be in charge to an extent of the people in the Commons. But I want to show people on screen something of interest. If you want to see it, this is every member of Labour's party now. Now, I'm just going to state now, for the next 5 years, these people are in work. If Labour do not keep to their pledges, shutting the borders, they don't keep to their pledges of building those houses, if they don't keep the pledge of driving inflation down or increasing jobs or anything like that, or getting the NHS back to where it should be, this will cut in half. Because more will go to reform. People who didn't... Sorry?
I said there's a very white group.
Yeah, this is a funny thing. I saw a lot of people say that this is one of the most diverse parties they've seen in years. And I'm looking and I'm finding that most of the minorities are on the edges.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself,
kind of like an outline.
If you look on the bottom left, that's where it seems to be the largest congregation. And I'm just like, hang on a second, fam. Have you literally just done Operation Put the Darkies to the Side? It feels like a bit of a South Park ripoff. And I'm not saying that to be racist. I'm saying that's how it looks, right? New Zealand used mixed member proportionate. Sounds like shite. Now, with Labour, they are in a difficult spot, but they have this. This is absolute control to do whatever they want for the next 5 years, as long as their party can agree. Now, the Conservatives, over the past 5 years, tore themselves apart. That's what they did. They did that to themselves. I can imagine Labour might do it, but for the next 5 years, they are in unison because they're going to use this as a chance to absolutely drive everything home. Because they don't have an opposition, really. Conservatives don't have anyone to back them. They don't have the members. They don't have Lib Dems on their side because Lib Dems would more than likely back Labour because anti-conservative rhetoric will become the focus of the first term. Now, if Keir Starmer starts to do things like well, under Conservatives, they did all of this. If he does that in PMQs, I'm going to roll my fucking eyes. I cannot be... Conservatives did it when they were in office, and the Speaker rightly pointed out you shouldn't be doing that after all these years. I don't think they should do it at all. I think it should just focus on the policy and get it done. But drama sells, right? Now, in this instance, the only other thing of interest is that Count Binface, a legit guy, got over 300 votes in his constituency, and Larry.
He's been doing this for years.
Sorry.
I'm so proud of this guy. He's been doing this for years.
He was trying to get a mayor, and I want to get him on the stream. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be hilarious to get him on stream. The other thing of interest, when Keir Starmer won, Larry the Mouser Cat stalked a pigeon and nearly killed it. He caught the pigeon, but the pigeon somehow managed to escape his grasp. He's a bit of a lazy cat, but I'll tell you what, cat's got moves. And there have been some interactions in Parliament, members sworn in. I saw Jeremy Corbyn didn't really give a shit because he never has. It's a process he doesn't care for. I know that Keir Starmer isn't the biggest fan of the House of Lords. He wants to get rid of the monarchy as well, but he now has to abide the system he is in because this country is majority pro-monarchy. You can say in the chat, someone might say you're not a monarchist, pro-monarchy, that's fine. But the majority of this country is, and that's still proven with all that they do. It's hilarious, really, because Keir Starmer was once part of the Queen's Council, and yet he had, at that point, much younger man, he had openly said he was anti-monarchy and would seek to abolish it if he could. But he can't now. He legit can't do that. Certainly not in his first 5 years, and he wouldn't be able to do it in 10 either, because it would destroy the entire system that he'd then have to rebuild. He can't do that.
Lovely.
He also wouldn't have the backing of the people because that's not how this works. Especially if you've got to close the borders, you're not going to be able to do what America does and just import loads of people to then give them voting rights. Well, that doesn't happen. Sorry, that's fake news. I would no, that's slander. Anyway, yes. So this is the result of the UK general election. The Conservative Party have been annihilated. The most notable names to have been removed. Let's go and get my list. Where is it? Yes, here we are. So, notable names removed who had lost their seats. Grant Shapps, who was in the cabinet. Penny Mordaunt, who was once on a diving show and people called her a MILF because she's all right. She's at the Queen's funeral, actually. She did one of the holding the pole thing, which I thought she was going to dance around. Michael Gove lost his seat, the snake. Absolute twat. Let's keep going. And Jacob Rees-Mogg lost his seat. That one hurt, because I like him. But he undid himself with some of the stuff he said when he got put into a position. He's now Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg. I guess it doesn't matter if he loses his seat or not, but he had lost his seat convincingly. And that sucked, because I liked him, and I thought he could be a PM one day. I don't know about I don't know what the Conservatives are doing right now, if they're going to go for a new leader or not. I doubt they will. But if they did, they'd probably go with someone weak for the first term, just so Keir Starmer has someone to bounce off for the first 5 years, and then in the next second term, then go to town on him. But if Reform do what they say they're going to do, I fully expect them to take seats from Labour in the next general election anyway. And it all comes down to whether or not the Labour Party actually uphold what they say they'll do. If they don't close the border, if they try and rejoin the EU, or they don't build enough houses or get the economy growing or drive inflation down, they will lose seats. And they're going to anyway, by the way, because there's no way any party can keep all of this bollocks you see on the screen, all that whiteness. There's no, and by the way, that is not a diverse party. There's no way you can keep all of that for more than one term. This is a very clear message. It's not a message of support for Labour. This is very much I hate the Conservative Party right now. That's all this is. This is very much, I hate the Conservatives. Your manifesto is a load of bollocks, so if you keep up and actually do anything from it, we'll be mildly impressed, but let's face it, no. And you had a low voter turnout as well, so don't try and say you speak for the people either, because let's not forget here for a second, Reform UK got 14% of the vote share and only have 4 seats. Although they weren't expected to get 11 by the end of the night. And if they had got 11, that would have been great. I actually would have loved to see 11 Reform UK MPs in the chamber. But Nigel Farage will do on his own. Because, honestly, Nigel Farage he's a cannon that if they push any button on rejoining the EU, that cannon button will simply say, go fuck yourself. And if he opens his mouth, every time he's made a prediction in the past about the EU, what they do since, they've done it. So he's always been right. By the way, just to be clear, for those who are curious, no, I did not vote in this election. I could not make my mind up, because we don't vote for the party. We vote for the MP to represent us. Labour won my area anyway, because our area was all over the place. But I couldn't pick an MP, because based on their manifestos, which I went through on this channel last time actually, I couldn't make my mind up, because I felt that not one of them was worth it. So I did this time. I just could not make my mind up. And I was like, okay, then I can't vote. My older sister wanted to vote Labour, but she couldn't because she'd had surgery. She couldn't actually get to the voter whole thing. You have to use ID to do it, and we didn't have to do the get someone to vote on our behalf that thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I was too busy anyway. But no, I didn't vote. So I can complain. If anyone wants to say no, I can't complain about it. You can also go fuck yourself, because I will complain about it as much as I want. And it all comes down to what these 400 and however many people. If only it was 420, that'd be so cool. That would have. If it depends on what these guys do. Okay. It's been 30 minutes. That is my TED talk. Label 1. You're all welcome. Where should we go next?
I feel like we should tackle the elephant in the room, knowing full well that it's
Which one?
the largest one.
Oh Jesus!
Because I know that it's going to take a long time to get.
Let me just close some images of France, Biden, and Labour. There we go. America. Trump. The picture that, honest to God, is arguably the most iconic photo I've seen in years. Is that who you're talking about?
Oh yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. Trumpomania, man.
Trumpomania gonna run wild on you, brother.
He's a hero, brother. That's what he said as well. He literally said that.
I know.
Oh.
Amazing.
Okay. Well, we're skipping ahead from the RNC. This is a photo. I've stolen it. But it is the most iconic photo right now in the world. So much so that outlets are refusing to use it because it promotes him too much.
Right.
And I'm like, bitch, he got up without his shoes on after being shot through the ear, which we now know because I've seen the picture, I've seen the video clip split off frame by frame as it goes through his part of his ear. Not to be fair, not a huge part, but as he went through part of his ear, and he gets up and he pumps his fist and says, "Fight," I think.
Yep, he did.
3 times, and he losing his shoes. He wants to go back and get them, but no, he's eventually caroused out. You tell the story of what happened.
So, oh god, this is such a long story. So we're just gonna go with what we witnessed, right?
Yes.
So around 6 o'clock, Trump gets, he's on stage, he's giving a speech, and in the middle of a conversation, suddenly there is a loud popping noise.
Well, it's a click, wasn't it? It's a click sound, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It was 120 meters away, so I'm not surprised it sounded like a click.
You see Trump slap his ear, and then go to the ground. Secret Service go and
After
cover.
a 3-second delay.
Yeah, it takes a second or two to realize what the hell is going on, but yes, true.
They failed, by the way. They failed. Carry on.
They did. But so they have him going out. He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
They grab him. They push him down. Right. You hear more pops going off. People screaming.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you can hear over the commotion, like in the actual video, them say, "Shooters down."
Yeah.
And then he starts to get up.
And this picture happens.
Yep. And he says, "Wait," to the guys. And then he makes this picture.
Yeah, so the person who
yelling "fight."
Person that took the picture was behind him at first, and they didn't move. They kept the camera on him the whole time, and they come round and they're taking pictures, and they get that one. That one on its own is like the sweet spot. That is the promotional photo of the rest of this campaign. That's merch. That's money. And the moment it happened, the first thing I said to Wildling or Yona was, "Yeah, he just won the election."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he's won. It's over. He won the debate, and he just got shot at. And by the way, I made a video on Omegon too about this, because many outlets had disingenuously framed this. Others were trying to say it was staged, and people still think it is. And I'm like, bitch, for 4 years while he was in office, you were promoting conspiracy theories. You're accusing him of being a conspiracy theorist. Last time I heard about someone touting a conspiracy theory about a tragic event, the guy lost over $1 billion in damages. Sandy Hook. Like, you can't try me. There was a person behind when the shot went past. You see it whistle on a frame by frame. It looks like a cloud in the sky with a plane, moving. And the woman behind followed it. And someone said, "Oh, she was clearly the spotter." And it's like, no, she actually works for the FBI. I can't pronounce her name, but she works for the FBI, and she was at the event. Also, and I'm gonna say, I said it a minute or two ago, the Secret Service failed. They failed for a few reasons. One, because they had a shooter on the roof behind him and not 120 meters away, because the director of the Secret Service said, "I can't risk putting him on a slope," which, by the way, is factually true. It's actually what she said. Somebody who's promoting DEI wants 30% representation or is it 50 by 2030. DEI means fuck all if you're 2-3 seconds late to a guy gets shot at. If his head was 2 more inches to the side where it was going to be, it would have gone through his eye. He would be dead, a martyr, in the next 8 years would be guaranteed Republican. Yeah. And that's a guarantee. They could run the weakest Republican candidate, and that person will still win. Why? Because this guy would be dead. Additionally, to the morons who had weapons on them, the Secret Service divs who had them on them, and then couldn't holster them, and by the way, you're so short, you couldn't even see over Trump in the first place. What are you doing there? You should not be there. You took too long. And you couldn't holster your weapon twice. First time here, and the second time I think was when he gave his first speech afterwards. Yeah. That, and also at the first speech, I think one of them had an issue then as well. Like, fam, you shouldn't be there. You are not good enough. Secret Service let him down, and that director should resign immediately. If he had been killed, he would be a martyr. And Biden's pretty much, I mean, there's a rumor he's going to be done. We'll get to him later. Do carry on.
So, yeah. So all of this goes on. We see everything go down. Everyone's asking the question, what's, how, why? You know, how did we get here?
Yeah.
What do we do about it? It's no one has a good answer, and over time we start to figure out, you know, here's what actually went down, right? Yeah. We start to see the picture come together. Mm-hmm. And this dude, who I'm not going to say his name because we don't do that anymore.
The Pew Pew one.
Yeah.
Okay, I mentioned him on the video on the other channel. Sorry.
That's okay. Apparently, everyone just has agreed to never say that person's name anymore.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'll let that. I didn't know that back then, but that was Monday.
Basically, the idea is that we don't say that. Well, honestly, there's a mix of like, I won't say his name, but also like, you should probably tell people what the fuck is up. Like, I understand why there's a difference. I feel like a lot of the creators who don't mention shooters' names is because they know the media has already said it. There's no need for those people, those creators, to further amplify the name.
So I thought,
I'm mixed.
I thought perhaps the reason would be because they don't want to risk accidentally saying the wrong person. Culpability and liability. I can imagine that.
Was a thing on Twitter.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Also, if they say the person's name, then, as people would do, they looked into the person's voter background, their allegiance to parties, and they look at the motivations. Motivation is key to understanding why anyone does anything. Of course, you should look into it. But then the conspiracy theories come out.
People kept saying that they were looking for a motive for the shooter. I'll tell you what the motive was to kill Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That was the motive.
It's when I saw people arguing. They were saying, he wasn't shot, he was shot at. And I'm like, bitch, no, he was shot. It doesn't matter if he was shot at, or shot with, or shot on. It means fuck all. Right. The bullet was aimed at him. And we know this because the guy took more than one shot.
6 or 8, I think it was.
And ultimately, the number doesn't matter. But it's still multiple attempts in that direction at one person. And unfortunately, really unfortunately, others paid the price for that.
Right. So let's talk about the immediate aftermath, right?
Yeah.
So we all see this on Twitter. Obviously, as you mentioned, conspiracy theories abound.
There's loads. Staged one's the worst one.
The most disgusting thing, and I started immediately. So I didn't get this information until about, let's see, when did I get a message? I got a message from Wildling at 6:40.
I got messages as well. I saw something either on Twitter or I saw it on another stream. I just saw the words Trump shot, and I was somewhere at the time, and I looked at my phone and I was like, no, quickly grabs my phone, looks online, and oh crap, starts dumping sources. I'm like, holy shit, this is.
Right.
Oh god, we're not streaming for Traps. This is all your fault.
I know. I thought about it. I'm like, immediate stream. But then
Yeah.
I looked at it. I'm like, it's 6:40. It's like midnight for him.
Yeah. Well, Leona actually said to me, I should have just gone Trups. You and I should stream instead. The Americans have it on his channel instead. And I was like, actually, you two should have. That'd been all right.
That would have been probably smart. But anyway, so I started dumping screenshots. Okay, so my screenshots that I took were of the trending at that time.
Yeah.
So let me just read down
I
had the first picture.
For
President
this,
Trump.
just before he does this, just for you to understand this, okay? Trups never drops sources in that tab, ever. He legit doesn't. It's me, always me. So when he does, it has to be something real. Okay, read your list of tags.
So-
Go on.
So I started listing off the trending tab on Twitter at that point in time. So it's President Trump, trending United States. How do you miss? Fight. Staged. Incident. BB gun.
Oh god.
One job. Civil war. They missed.
Yeah.
Shooter and please God.
Right. So as a few of these we should obviously quickly address. The first are all the ones that would talk about how could you miss kind of that area, yeah? There were people on TikTok who, and I do not give them a free pass, I played some of those in my video on Monday. Yep. I'm sorry. I will never, ever justify violence against anyone that is not a nonce or someone that talks in the movie theatre. All right? I will never justify it. The fact you sat there and you're so belligerent, ignorant, your attitude completely goes complete swerve to what you should do. Oh crap. We do not support this. We do not condone this. If you said that, the optics are more on your side. The optics are so badly against you. Like, you're not in a good... It doesn't matter what you say. You can get some support on TikTok, sure. But it's shite. And quite frankly, you guys believe yourselves removed from responsibility. You have just... And many of you were peddling the conspiracy theory that this was staged. That stage tag has been going for... I'd say it was going strong for about 5 days. Yeah. And I do not believe it's staged in the slightest. I do believe there were some failings, especially when people post pictures or videos of a cow on a sloped roof at a farm. Of course.
I thought that was funny as shit.
Oh, honestly. You can't put a guy on that roof.
Pretty slopey.
Like, drunk people at that event were pointing at the guy saying, yo, there's someone on that rooftop over there with a gun. Yeah. I put that in my video as well because, honestly, the guy could have walked past you with a gigantic sign saying, I'm going to shoot Trump. And the Secret Service still would have done absolutely fuck all. It's embarrassing.
Well, the craziest part about the stage thing, as Omegon was about to say, is besides the fact that they're saying, oh, you know, it was a blood capsule, it was in his hat, that he smacked it on his face, and that's where the blood came from. Or
WWE bladed himself, yeah.
yeah. Or the Secret Service, you know, hit him in the head with it when they grabbed him. What's terrible, and what the people who... There are people today, right now, who still believe that it was staged. And those people cannot seem to wrap their brains around how the fact that a man... I'm going to actually pull up his name. Corey at Trump Rally. Corey Comparator, a firefighter, a father of 2 girls, died protecting his family.
Yeah.
And those people seem to not be able to wrestle with that fact and the whole stage thing that they are trying to cope so hard with.
Right. There were others that were injured critically, and this man, yeah, he shielded his family. And I saw a recent picture of his uniform in a place with Trump approaching it. I think it was an RNC thing. There are other things.
It should be in the White House while he's in presidency.
Yes. Well, Sleepy Joe took over a day to respond. Now, I did a video on Wednesday about Destiny, because Destiny was the one who was talking about the conservative shits, and he outright stated some rather nasty things about that guy and anyone else that would ever be harmed at these kind of rallies, because essentially to him they deserved it. And my view is there is no version of any reality that could ever exist where you can justify this. You can't. Again, it's about optics, and he, like everyone else, thinks themselves removed from it. And the consequence is quite severe, because in his case he got a suspension for a number of weeks off Kick. Now, of course, that means sod all really. For someone like him, he can just stream somewhere else. But the fact is, you should not be celebrating anyone being harmed, especially with no irony. You are backing a party that wants greater gun control.
Yeah,
Yet when
real.
it suits you, your hypocrisy allows you. And I saw someone called Willie Mack say he can understand Destiny's motivations because he's been doing more digging into the January 6th insurrection and other things. And I'm like, yeah, but loads of those actually got overturned by the Supreme Court. This isn't as big a deal as you think. I understand Destiny's perpetually online, chronically online mentality of being constantly battle ready like Hassan Piker, but he is no more an authority on anything political than I am an expert on foot fetishes, and I hate feet. I wish they all didn't exist. Peg legs for all, everyone. Peg legs for all. Okay? The fact is, this shouldn't... Destiny is a great example of somebody who could not rationalize or could not justify, could not reason one reason why this should not be acceptable. And if he had done that, he would look so much better. But he honestly, he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. And that's the view of many, and I don't like that. It's poison. And the first thing that I saw from the first political official, formally, that actually said the right thing was Obama. That people need to bring this back. You need to tone it down. This toxicity, it needs to be reined in, and I agreed. Trump said the same thing. Biden 2 days later said the same thing, after many jump cuts. And if you watched his video, I know it is a state address, but the version that I saw online had so many jump cuts in, it was ridiculous. Like, fam, he couldn't even call him President Trump. He actually fumbled his words. It was embarrassing. And we'll get to him soon.
And also, he also accidentally almost said, "Make America Great Again."
I mean, someone in his party did actually at the DNC.
Honestly, that's not a bad thing. Like, it shouldn't be a gotcha to say that, right?
It's the thing of the who they connect it to and what they've made it in. It's the boogeyman thing.
I know it is. I know why they don't want to say it, but like,
you shouldn't be afraid. To be fair, a lot of those who are pushing the anti-making America great are typically those who feel that either America should be ashamed of itself, like a lot of left-leaning European nations, we'll get to one soon, that, basically so ashamed of who they are that they will actively vote for parties destroying their country. Yep. And I feel like a lot of those who are in office in the States are doing the exact same thing because they think that culturally translates when it doesn't. It doesn't translate to your country because you're very proud of who you are. Now, I'm very proud of who I am as an Englishman, but I can't, for most of the time, say that because you're not allowed to say you're proud to be English or proud to be British. I'm like, well, I'm not British, I'm English, shut up. Britain is a load of crap. England, though, is awesome. When they're not guilty of who they are, that is.
Genuinely, like, without any kind of connotations or dog whistles, as they would say.
Yeah.
I think there is zero problem with saying that you are proud to be black, proud to be white, proud to be English, proud to be American.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I think it's great that you would have pride in your heritage. Especially if you are integrated into the society in which you are currently living. Let's say it's not the place that you're from, but you still hold pride for it.
I couldn't agree more. And in this instance, you've got
that brings culture to other places.
Well, you now have with this one picture, you have something that has within one party at least, and many others, I'm sure, who are perhaps swing voters who have seen a former president, get shot through the ear. I mean, now I saw the whole from the frame shots, individual frames of it going through. He was lucky, beyond lucky. He turned his head he was sighting something, wasn't he? He was leaning over and he turned his head. If he hadn't done it, it would have been through the back of the brain. I'm sorry, but you see the shot. I mean, I know he got mocked to high hell for the bandage on his ear, but then I was talking to the owner last night, who was a former healthcare worker, and she had said, I'll be honest, you aren't going to get one much smaller that, can help. It's such an odd spot for it to be. You're not going to put a plaster on it because it's right in the crook of that ear bit. So it has to be a big bandage because you can't do a smaller one, and it has to be safe. Okay? I saw Mark Hamill mocking him for having his eyes closed when he was praying. So it's like people are looking for a reason to deflect, while also many were denying that this even happened, or they were gaslighting people who were trying to tell you the truth. Like, it's a really horrible situation that when people finally bother to say, be less toxic, the first response is, no, fuck you, fam. But basically that, yeah. Basically that.
No, but I got a message. Remember that guy? Who had messaged me that one time saying that, like, I'm a leftist, but even I think that, shit's gone crazy.
Yeah.
Well, he messaged me again. I asked him on Saturday, saying, hey, have you seen the news? He said flashes of it, enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday of this week, he writes, okay, I'm as much of a socialist as anyone who can claim the name, and even I think the left is going too hard on the conspiracy.
It's weird because, no level of irony, they've been accusing the Republicans of being conspiracy theorists, yet they're doing it themselves. And it is a lot of it's defamation as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I know that,
like,
we need to know a lot more about what's happened. Of course we do. But don't jump to conclusions. I know there's been discussion about the shooter who shall forever remain nameless. Yeah, his name is officially...
What a wonderful last name, too, by the way.
Yes, that is only... I mean, I was going to go with he who shall not be named, but then I realised his real name would actually be the same name as the guy.
It is. Yeah, that works. Let's go with that.
He who shall not be named. Let's call him Voldemort. And he obviously has some voting backgrounds and membership backgrounds that are really intriguing. Some have explained parts of the donation part and the membership part. It's really tricky, right? Really tricky. Until we know enough and it's confirmed, all we can do is speculate. But if you start to openly put out theories and say, well, they did it themselves, they set it up, oh, the angles and all this is just made up, you're peddling a conspiracy theory because you have TDS. It's a very problematic condition. No, that was She Who Shall Not Be Named. You're fine, David. It's fine. My house was called She Who Shall Not Be Named. Yeah, she was awesome. She bit the fuck out of me. Now, in this instance... Oh, shit, what was I saying? Bollocks, it left my brain.
Well, don't worry, because I have something that I want to move into. So
no, TDS. A very vitally horrible, corruptive, corrosive problem because you're unwilling to accept reality. It actually falls within the ballpark of multiple personalities and schizophrenia. It's more commonly known as Trump derangement syndrome. If you hate a man so much for no real reason that you are unwilling to accept the reality that a former president was shot. Doesn't matter what it hit, he was shot. He was shot with a gun, it went through his ear. You are so badly deranged, medication will help you. I highly recommend if you have a peanut allergy, peanut M&Ms. Carry on.
And then, okay, so we've talked about all the conspiracy theories. Now we have to talk about the people who are actively evil.
Right, okay? Yeah.
These people went full mask off, as they had said. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I like Tenacious D.
Oh, God. I was waiting for this one.
But
this, okay.
People who said things like what Kyle Gass said, which don't miss Trump next time.
I'm just going to say, first of all, I genuinely did believe he was just joking at first. I understood that it's not a joke, but I understand also with what they do on stage, it is a joke, and they're both politically well known for being left-leaning. At the same time, you probably could have waited a month or two before saying that.
Yeah. The problem that I have is the phrase "next time." Okay?
Yes, because I've seen a lot of people say that.
I would have been much more tolerant if he was like, "Can't believe you missed."
Yeah,
I've been like, crass, crude, whatever. But saying "don't miss Trump next time" says let there be a next time.
Yeah, no, this is where the line in the sand where fight came up 4 years ago should apply here. There's a line in the sand, don't shoot at people. And by the way, the memes I remember seeing about that misfight included a lot of stormtroopers.
Oh, I saw that a lot.
I think they're funny, but at the same time, it was mostly those memes circulating just after Kyle Gass had said, "Don't miss Trump next time." And as we all know, this led to a big consequence for them as a duo. By the way, I like Tenacious D. I like the second and third album especially. The second because of the movie, Dio being in it. The third because I like Rise of the Phoenix. I really do like that song. It's such a good song. But Post-Apocalyptica is a load of crap. Post-Apocalyptica? Yeah, that. The terrible album. Yeah, crap album. But for those who don't know what happened after, a senator in Australia wrote to the Prime Minister to say you need to yeet these two fuckers out of the country because you can't promote this kind of attack on political officials. If you condone it, you're supporting violence. That is not the Aussie way, which it is, but it isn't.
I was going to say, aren't they all criminals?
I mean, they snake each other all the time. In fact, they managed to keep the criminal mentality by not having one prime minister serve a complete term. Now, because they just snake each other. It's hilarious. In the context of this, Jack Black immediately cancelled all future dates. And I mean cancelled. Kyle Gass has issued an apology on Instagram. Jack Black did too. The band is on hiatus again. To be honest, I thought they were going to end after album 3 because I know Kyle Gass didn't want to do much more, but because they had a renaissance of sorts because of Spotify, Apple numbers, their streaming numbers really helped them. They've been able to tour a lot more. So basically, everyone's getting a refund because these pricks couldn't help open them up. The thing is, Jack Black distanced himself from Kyle, Tenacious D, and all this, and I'm like, mother fluffer, nah. That's not why you did it. You did it because a month earlier, you were doing promo ads and videos with Obama and Biden, for Biden. Like, you are clearly on his side, but you're trying to help him by mitigating the damage that Tenacious D does because you want to be one of those people that helps politically. Like, fam, don't try me with this bull crap. I have to let a dog out, don't I? I do. I think I do. Do I?
Okay, I'll do that.
You have to talk about this for a minute. I'll be back in a sec.
That's fine. That being said, and I'm going to use this opportunity that he's not here to actually say something that might be a little controversial, but we'll see. Tim Pool actually had made this interesting concept, and I thought that it had some merit. It was basically saying that now that Kyle has apologized, we should allow that and we should accept it. And the reason why is because we need to reintroduce the idea that if you do the right thing, you will be rewarded versus constant demonization and pushing somebody out. I believe that there is a strong merit to that argument, and I think that there is something to be gleaned from it. I just don't know how much other people are going to be willing to play that game. I know that because tensions are so high, obviously we got to this point not out of nothing, but I don't know how many other people are going to be willing to say, okay, yes, you have apologized. We'll allow you, to do your thing, and we will forgive you. It's gonna be hard. I mean, there are some people, and I get it. There are some people who will never forgive people. But it's an interesting question to ask. Like, where do we go? How do you reinforce good behavior? And if somebody says, look, I did something wrong, I'm sorry, at what point do you go, that's fine? I think, basically, I'm going through Kyle apologized and the question of, at what point do we allow a person who has done wrong to go back into society and be accepted again? That we have allowed such behavior.
I reckon it won't last long. If Biden somehow manages to win, although if there's rumours to be believed it'll be somebody else anyway, if the Democratic Party win, he'd be exonerated instantly and he'd be back on the road. But he won't be able to perform in certain states that are more red anyway. Not that Tenacious D would play them in the first place.
Well, what I mean is, like, as a society, a person does something wrong, right? They get pushback and they apologize.
Yeah. Apologize.
We should reinforce good behavior,
Mm-hmm.
not further distance them from the rest of society. We
Yeah.
shouldn't ostracize people who are willing to make the apology,
Yes.
so long as it's genuine.
Yeah.
We should err on the side of, okay, you apologized, we're cool, until we find that that's not the case anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I understand why people disagree.
No, that's fair. I understand that completely. I have no real issues with it, because I do believe that everyone should have a chance to redeem themselves, except for nonces and those that talk at the movie theatre.
Yes. Well, that's another question of of behavior. There are certain things when it's speech and you say the wrong thing, we can talk about it. There are certain actions that this is no longer a question that we're entertaining.
Yeah. Don't talk in the cinema. If you do, you go on a list. Get wrecked, bitches. I will not tolerate it.
No, I get it. But yeah, so these are the statements and the thoughts that we have now. There are people who have gotten normal people who have gotten their comeuppance in regular people whom others have noticed said behaviors, said things similar to what Kyle said. At which point, they somebody found out and asked them about it in person, or brought it up to their employer, and suddenly that was no longer a game they wanted to play.
Imagine my shock.
Right, crazy how that works.
Yeah, who would have believed it?
Right, of course. That being said, we have the opportunity to answer the question that the left has now posed to us, which is, I thought you said cancel culture is bad.
It is. But you guys have promoted this, so it's called you can go and get off your high sodding horse, because you've fucked around and now you're finding out the consequences of your own actions. This is the monster you created, not us. I say us. Oh, yeah, no, it's not a monster that the right created, the current version of it anyway, not a monster I created, because I don't believe in cancelling in the first place. Unless you're a nonce or you talk at the cinema. Honestly, I really can't stand it. Nonsense, that is.
I can tell.
I also like Firefly.
That's good. But so we need to now have the discussion of, like, what do we appreciate. So
yeah.
Those people though who are fucking around and finding out, I have less. I think they should reap some sort of consequence. If that consequence is like another firefighter, for instance, had said, like, they they're sorry that he missed or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That is well, I think you're I think you deserve it. I think you deserve to be fired, honestly. Because that's not the behavior that we actually want to see. And especially from our firefighters.
Yeah. I do believe everyone should be given a chance. I will maintain that to earn redemption. And I hope those that realise that what they have done is essentially promote Trump through this shitty behaviour. And that includes the mainstream media, who have shown themselves to be an absolute joke by disingenuously framing this, refusing to show this picture because this picture is, to them, well, I mean, it doesn't help them if they want Biden in office, but there are issues on that front. I mean, we can talk about Biden if you want, briefly. He's not had a good run of late, and there is a rumour He first of all, he's unwell, and of course, I do not wish ill health on any person. Is it COVID, I believe?
Yes, it is.
On top of dementia. Not ideal, because he'll forget he has it and has to be told the next day. He has been forgetting where he's going. He's been attending meetings and falling asleep. His wife has been dictating crap for him. His wife was on a show recently, and she was told that he's losing a number of battleground states, and she went and immediately said, he's not losing them, he hasn't lost them, they're just plateaued right now. So he's lost them then, because he's not really getting... Yeah, it's cope. And also the belief that he is going to be, over the weekend, pulling out of the presidential election race because of how badly he did at the debate, but also because that photo has undone him. What are your thoughts on what Biden... first of all, his address to the nation, of course, as well.
Mm.
The fact he referred to Trump as either vice president or running mate. I can't remember which. Or as something else. He has fumbled a few bits since, hasn't he?
He has, and he had a bit of a struggle when he was giving his address, but it wasn't too bad. All things considered,
he did
was
ask
doing
community
something,
at least.
Yeah, he was doing the right thing, so I'm not about to criticize him for this.
Agreed.
That being said, Biden had recently, today, given a statement from where he's at in, I think it's Bedminster? No, that's New Jersey. Someplace in Delaware. And he said that he was looking forward to going back on the campaign trail next week. So I think that there is I don't want to say a coup or a collusion, but there is something going on where the campaign wants him to leave, but he doesn't wanna. Right? So now they have to fight through all of this that he's got going on for him.
Yeah.
And they have to try and stop him from himself. Obama has come out. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Jamie Raskin.
More Democrats calling for Biden to exit the race as of 24 minutes ago. There have been like 8. Yeah, lawmakers are calling for him to withdraw. Today. 1 hour ago. I didn't know this was now becoming more of a thing. That he wants to see proof that he can't win. My thing is, I can show you that you're not winning. For those who are watching the stream now, it'll be on the screen now. It's this picture, obviously it is. That there confirms that Trump wins. I'm sorry, but he does. He wins. He will not lose. I don't believe Biden wins this time. Well, I didn't think Biden would win last time, to be fair.
There was actually a comment, one of the comments that I had screenshotted of
what?
Let's see here. One of the screenshots from the day of the shooting. It was, I'm trying to find it. They missed by an inch, question mark. We're cooked, bro. The Trump crowd is going to treat him like Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's happening right now. There is a conversation about divine intervention, about how, he's been chosen, right? There's a lot that he has going for him, Trump does, that, just the energy, right? The RNC was this week. If I tell you it was a rock show based on, the fact that Kid Rock was there, that's not the point. Also, Jason Aldean, which is kind of interesting because Jason Aldean was the person where the Las Vegas shooter happened. That was his concert.
Yeah. So
there is a very interesting duality there. And it was a goddamn rock show going on at that RNC. And it's insane that if you compare the excitement level between these two candidates, there is zero contest.
Yeah. Well,
not a single person could contend with how Trump is running the show versus how Biden is running the
well,
show.
shall we quickly then talk about something that might be a bit more exciting concerning
Sure.
this, yeah, brother?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
Trumpomania is about
Yeah.
to run wild over you, brother. Take your vitamins, say
love
your
this
prayers,
man.
rip your t-shirt off. Trump,
love
he's
this
my
man
hero,
so
man. He's my hero, brother. Honest to
I could
fucking
not
God.
have been happier because of all the things that happened with this guy.
Oh, by the way, Nathan, I'm so sorry for deleting that, but you literally posted it just as I was about to say it. I'm so sorry, but I had to, brother. I had to do it. I swear, I can't tell if I sound more like Hogan or Beetlejuice. Anyway, so the RNC happened. The RNC took place. I saw Linda McMahon give a speech, and just before we started, I had said to Trups that she looked. I didn't know it was her until they announced her, because it looks nothing like her now. Because obviously surgery really is handy. But the one thing I saw today was Hulk Hogan trending, and no lie, I only clicked on it because I thought he was dead. I clicked on it, and the first thing I saw was him going, "Trump's my hero, brother. Trump's my hero." And he rips his shirt off, and he's talking about Trumpomania, and I'm like, oh, wow. I don't know if I can cringe on this one, or if I want to cringe. But then he does it, it's got Trump and his VP nominee, who I know literally fuck all about, other than him being a very recent, senator. Senator? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, John Dorian Vance, yes.
39 years old, relatively new face.
Yeah, he only got sworn in a couple years ago.
And a really, really strong MAGA candidate. He is.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he is there for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane.
Well, we have Hulk Hogan, though, and I saw something interesting the other day. I was watching an Undertaker podcast, the 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway. Yeah. And he had Midian on, one of his BSK guys. BSK, sorry, Biker Bone Street Crew. Yeah, that one. And Midian mentioned, because they don't talk about politics usually, they don't ever on the show, and the reason why is actually because of something Midian slipped, is that Midian is the only liberal member of the group. And I was sat here like, wait, I kind of get that, since, Taker is Texan. But I wonder if they could have tried to get... he wouldn't, for optics' sake, ever turn up to one of this, but I'd like him to do it just so he can drop this fucker on his neck for real. Not because I hate Hulk Hogan, just because he milked that injury too long ago and I hated it. But instead, you got Hulk Hogan, who is very openly a real American, who'll protect the handicapped wrestlers... Yeah, that's politically correct. And fight those of other races, because that doesn't look racist. To promote Trumpomania. What is your thought on Trumpomania? Do you want to rip your t-shirt off?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of hype as fuck, I'm gonna be honest.
I've seen a lot of people say it's cringe, and I agree. There is a massive element of cringe here. If they'd done this in the United Kingdom, I promise you, I would have shriveled up so fast, because it's just not. We don't get this theatrics. If parties do this, I don't care what you are. It's just hilarious. Did you see the Destiny meltdown? Yes, we discussed it earlier. Snow, his meltdown I covered on Wednesday as well. Yeah.
I guess we have this kind of
pantomime.
Well, this theatrics, right? Because
different system.
Since 2020, 2016, but especially during COVID, our politics became culture. In the sense that we rooted for teams like we root for sports. And our teams were red or blue. And it got so bad that people just, in general, why do we hate them? We hate them because they're blue. Literally, it's we hate them because they're blue. Or we hate them because it's red. So this level of theatrics is playing into what a lot of the population, especially the younger population, and by younger I mean basically 40 and under, is wanting to see. Like, I'm gonna be honest, Dana White, Hulk Hogan, right? Those were two of the people who actually did this shit, right?
Yeah, so that was a thing meme to high hell, because you had Linda McMahon, you had Dana White, you had Hulk Hogan, but no Vince.
Well, that's because he's having a bit of issues himself.
Yes, well, Mustachio Weirdo is hardly good for optics, but he's a wealthy man. By the way, just to get back on something, I just had a news article pop on my phone explaining why Tenacious D or Jack Black decided to step back. And apparently it's because he actually has a bunch of films in post-production and that he didn't want to tarnish the projects by letting the controversy linger. So he acted fast to protect what he had coming out.
Smart.
Basically, yeah. Carry on.
I honestly don't even fault him for that, because that's...
No, that's what I would do.
It's there.
You got self-preservation is key. But yes, you had a load of big names at this. And, I mean... I've seen a bit of criticism, yes, okay, about this cringe, but don't be surprised that Hulk Hogan's a conservative. He's always been a conservative.
Oh, totally.
I'm sorry, but a huge amount of wrestlers are as well. And I'm not surprised, because they travel a shitload. The last thing you want to do is pay shitloads of tax for it.
Well, not only that, but think about, like, whom these people, like, are in their private lives.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these people... Like, I love... Talking about Matthew, Undertaker.
Mark, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I always want to call him Matthew Kavanaugh. That's not right.
Okay.
That's somebody else. But I thought that he is of course, he is a Texan, first of all, right? He is a person who has shown up at, this is actually a really sad thing, Demolition Ranch's, like, big creator days.
Yeah.
And I said, this is sad, because the shooter was wearing a Demolition Ranch t-shirt.
I saw, because I watched their video. And I feel bad for anyone that had a go at them, because it wasn't his... Like,
it's not his fault.
Exactly.
And honestly, like, watching his apology is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because he never wanted his business to be associated with something like this. You can hear it in his voice. He wants to cry. And honestly, the dude is a good dude. He's got kids. He is a good man. I don't agree with any of the people going at him because, the bad guy's wearing his shirt. Anybody can buy any fucking shirt.
Couldn't agree more.
But anyway, but Undertaker, I think Goldust as well had gone to one of the creator clashes.
Dustin,
yeah, and that was hilarious. Actually, watching those two go and shoot, that was fucking amazing.
Taker's a big gun enthusiast. He loves his Jack Daniels because he has no taste buds.
He also runs a wolf conservation, and he's a good dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course these guys do. A lot of the wrestlers, they come from rural upbringings.
I loved that.
You think that a city slicker is going to be the one who wants to go and wrestle some big, sweaty dude? Hell no. That is very, very southern.
Something I've learned from watching that podcast, which is exponentially growing, which I'm happy about, is that some of those they've gotten on, it's just, you can tell from the stories they tell and the behavior that they're definitely more conservative leaning. You don't need to they don't talk about politics. You can just tell from some of the choices of subject and how they frame their discussion. It's very, but it's not a bad thing.
That you get into self-determination and responsibility.
Well, they have been their career.
Maybe not so much, but like by and large, that's a conservative opinion.
Okay, well, let's base it on something that might challenge it a little bit.
Okay.
The Godfather Godfather,
Okay.
even when he was starting out, he had a side hustle. What was his side hustle?
I have no idea. Why don't you
He
tell me?
owned strip clubs,
Okay.
and he still owns them. Now, if we're going to be a bit more progressive, that's totally fine, right? But
Yeah,
is that something? But then he had his business on the side. He was always self-determined. He always had business to make sure that if anything ever went wrong, he was covered. That thought process and mentality comes from a very particular upbringing.
Yeah.
No offense to those who are a bit more progressive, but I've watched far too many parents who are far too liberal, who do everything for their children, and their children are entitled little shits. And I get quite tired of this, because I hear them moan about it, and my first thought is, why don't you get your kids to learn to do these things, like pick up the dog shit? It's not overly difficult. Give them a bag and tell them to go for it. Gloves as well,
Right.
ideally. Like, they've got to learn. Yeah. Same with the adults. I was raised in a fairly politically neutral household, but I didn't know anything about anything because I was not taught the practical side of things. My parents were arguably more liberal. Like, I remember mentioning this when my mum went into Labour. My mum said that, and my dad said, "No, we vote Liberal." Like, that was the joke, but he actually legitimately said it. Because my mother had to tell me that. Like, that was what happened. But yeah, no, it's a fascinating thing to see Hulk Hogan at this RNC event, doing his Trumpomania thing, which I think is cringe, but at the same time hilarious.
Right.
Right now, Trump is in this honeymoon phase of what could be argued to be invincible. He is the confirmed nominee now.
Right.
And he always was anyway, but it had to be confirmed. And I think for the next few months, he'll have to weather a storm, I believe, at some point soon concerning sentencing, but I don't know when that is now.
So that has been pushed off quite a ways away.
Is that because of the Supreme Court ruling?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then. In that case, he's
that
pretty
court
much
ruling
Go on.
basically said that they need to review evidence that was introduced in order to ascertain whether the volume of evidence that was used was within scope and wasn't under what the Supreme Court now says is a form of like oh god, what's the word? Executive privilege.
Right. Yes, I seen that because if you're in office, you're the president, you can't be sued.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. I remember that from the West Wing. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
You want to talk quickly about France?
Sure, let me go get a picture. Okay, recently France had an election. Okay, so for this to make sense, on the screen you have a picture of Francais. And no, I'm not going to do this in French, though I could, but we don't speak surrender here. You can all reply, je ne sais pas, je ne comprends pas.
Parlez-vous les France?
Yeah, sure, if you want to sing about a threesome as well, ménage à trois, go for it. But yes, you have the first round of the voting, because it's a really weird political system. If one party doesn't have an absolute majority, they go to a second week and a round of votes. It's really weird. But Macron's party is Ensemble in the middle there, the yellow party. Okay? All right. New Popular Front are the Reds. National Rally is Marine Le Pen. Marine Le Pen is a far-right populist. That's what she is. And at the end of the first week, she beat Macron. She had more than him at the end of the first week. And I genuinely believed at that point Macron was done. Now, he had said if she won, because his term limit wasn't up as president, he'd stay on anyway, because he could, because of the weird rules. My view on it is simple. If you lose, get the fuck out. This silly little comb-over bitch tit, socialist, needed to leave. Now, because it went to a second week, something happened. Now, I should point out, just because Marine Le Pen lost, doesn't mean she actually lost. And I'll explain more in a moment. At the end of the second week, the voting went in and, well, Macron's party did lose 82 seats. Okay, but it turns out France is suffering from white guilt. Really bad white guilt. because they don't want a right-leaning president or right-leaning party in charge, so much so that they will vote to harm themselves, because why bother to, do something to help the country when you can have more segregation that leads to more communities rising up and bullying and beating your people? Why do that when your guilt can determine your future? Which is what happens in Germany a lot, happens in Sweden a lot. Why not do that? Now, I'm not saying for a second Marine Le Pen would have been a better option. Of course not. We don't know for certain. But Marine Le Pen did win more seats again. So she may not be the president of France. Macron still is, because of the coalition he has managed to form. Because the guilt is strong in them. However, it's not got on all his own way. It took an absolute wrangle to get his parliamentary president elected. It took about 3 turns, because people really didn't want his choice. It took an absolute ball ache. It was only confirmed today. But Marine Le Pen is very happy because she's now gotten double the number of members, that's what she said, to last time. Now, of course, that would indicate she can't math because she's got 143. My view on it is this is another change of the Overton window, because she only has 20 seats less than Macron. If at the next election she has more seats than him and he's still there because he has another coalition, all it does is tell you he is that desperate to remain in power that he can't accept that the right has beaten him. And the right came close to beating him. They came close, and they'll continue to if you continue to push dangerous messages. There have been protests left, right and centre in France over the past 5 years. Farmers especially. People angry at the way the French government is treating their people. The inflation rises. The lack of action in dealing with immigration. The lack of action dealing with inflation. Macron's a socialist. Of course he's not going to deal with it, because he's a loser. He sits in his ivory tower on his wealth, knowing he doesn't have to take responsibility for anything, because he's too busy playing the global game and not doing anything nationally, because the National Party is only interested in welcoming more people in, giving them voter rights. Oh, it's America. Allowing them to be a part of the discussion. Yes. Allowing them to be part of the discussion and not actually do anything to help people, protect the people. Crime is on the way up in France. It's horrific. I would not want my family have discussed going to Disney again in the future, and I've said to them, please don't, because I don't want to have to go with you to keep you safe. I also then don't want to have some tiny little Frenchman try and arrest me because I chin him.
Is Disney only in France?
Well, Disneyland Paris.
Oh,
I'm not,
okay.
Orlando's
I don't know what the UK Disneys are like.
It's not really much a thing over here, really. We don't really have much like that. But I know that if they want to go to Disneyland, they'd want to go Paris. I'm like, I'm the only fluent French speaker, and so I'd be the best option to go because they don't know where they're going. But I don't want to go. So, no, you can all not go there, please. But yes, no, on the screen you see the image of the representation of voting and of seats in their parliament. And it should be pointed out that if Macron now with his coalition completely ignores, as he's done before, Marine Le Pen, the threat she represents by not doing anything, she will get more seats at the next election. This snap election was only called 2 years, only after 2 years since the last one, which, by the way, shows a huge increase in her supporter base. It's been 2 years because of the extra seats she got in the European Parliament. Fam, she has control over the national message in the European Parliament. He has no say over it. Mm-hmm. He has no say over it. They were destroyed. On the European stage, right-wing populism controls French policy. So what is he going to do? Is he actually going to bother to address the concerns they represent, or is he going to continue to do this? I think he'll continue to do this because he's got a majority, a considerable one, by working with New Popular Front. By the way, there's massive protests in the UK at the moment as well, but I don't know if we'll be able to talk about it now. We're running out of time. But I'll mention it quickly. Big protest because the police had to take a child away for protection. It led to mass burnings of police vehicles and attacks on police cars and protests over the fact child protection. Okay. You also have attacks on police for, no lie, an issue concerning a Bangladeshi person being harmed by a police officer, ... in Bangladesh. Yet somehow that has to feature in our country. Okay. But the child issue involves gypsies. It's not as simple. Although I believe there's another one as well that involves another child elsewhere being taken away by police. It's not as simple as people make it out to be, but you do have to, in the interest of the child, protect the child. So I can't speak on this any level of authority other than to say police vehicles are being attacked by lots of people in Leeds. And for the time being, we'll maybe have to save that for next week if I can be asked. But we are at the end of the show anyway. Is there anything you'd like to add before we finish?
It's been a hell of a 3 weeks, huh?
Yeah. Are we back next week, or are we having 2 weeks off?
No. I think we're gonna be here.
Sweet.
God help me if I fucking wasn't here.
Yeah, this will be on Spotify and Rumble on Sunday, because I'm going to work on something else tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it, and for smashing the like and for engaging in the chat. Sorry I didn't reply to any of you. I really am sorry about that, but we had a lot of lot to talk about. Oh, hang on, let me just check something. Let me just check first. Oh, right, so there's still a bit of discussion about Macron and France. His coalition hopes are still alive, but it's not a guarantee at the moment. But if it's changed within the space of a week, we'll discuss it next week. Anyway, thank you for joining us, guys. We'll see you in 7 days. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.